I'm really glad these notes are out because I was definitely getting tired of people posting fake links. So, patch notes version 1.24, which will be out December 15th, which probably for us means tomorrow night. What you really care about is this. Before I start, I want to say, some people have said I'm good at predicting things in fighting games, but I really am not, honestly. The only thing I know is that the Wheel of Fate is always turning. And a little over a month ago, I posted a video that's called "The Nerfs You Want Are Not Coming." That's what I called this video. Pretty standard views-wise for me, but some people were not very happy with some of the things I said in that video. So let us see. Let us see what we have for the patch that everyone was waiting for. This winter patch that's going to save Guilty Gear. I really like that they do this because they used to not do this, and it's nice to see what they're thinking rather than having to work backwards from the balance changes, what they're trying to think about, right? So, changes to game mechanics. These changes address the issue of the difficulty for the defender to launch a counter-offensive due to the attacker remaining at an advantage for an extended amount of time. Very interesting, actually. And I want to look at the things that they have in this column before commenting a little bit. So tension. The tension gauge now increases more the higher your character's risk level. This increases the reward for successfully making it out of a dangerous situation and going on the offensive. Tension gauge rate for the attacker no longer increases when the opponent blocks attacks while their risk level is max. Previously, the attacker's tension gauge would increase more and more as they continued their block string after the defender blocked enough to reach max risk level. This change is intended to alleviate the difficulty switching from defense to offense. The rate of risk level depletion over time is now faster. Previously, the defender would still be in a dangerous situation after initially escaping the opponent's offense, as their risk level would not have decreased much at all. This change aims to alleviate this issue. Risk level now resets when Psych Burst is activated. Psych Burst is often used to escape dangerous situations. When used with a high risk level, though the player would still be in a dangerous situation even when successful, and would take major damage from a punish when it failed, this change helps prevent the use of Psych Burst from becoming overly limited by giving it the role of a clear reset. Honestly, some pretty good changes. I'm gonna keep it a buck. So starting from the first one. The first one is kind of a mixed bag for me. Your meter gain going up, the higher character risk gauge is a good change. Yes, it is a good change. Mostly because there are some characters that gain more risk than other characters. They gain more risk than other characters, and they also build less meter than other characters. I feel like this change is to help characters like that. The number one character who's like this, you should already know who I'm going to say, who is affected by this the most, is Millia. Millia has the worst risk gain modifier, so she gains way more risk than everyone else, and she also builds less meter than everyone else. And she doesn't have a DP. Even though she has fast buttons for mashing, she doesn't have a DP. So any character that, like, there's some characters that have like some privileged extra defensive options and stuff, but then they're also good at building meter because they're active in neutral or they get a lot of chances to push their offense. I think this helps out quite a bit. Characters that don't like this. So an example of a character that definitely does not like this would be, surprisingly, I'm not going to say Nago. I think probably the top two, off the top of my head, top three, would be Zato, Ram, and HC. So Zato kind of likes it, by the way, because he builds risk gauge slightly faster than other characters. But Zato, as you know, is amazing at pushing his turn. HC does not need to be said, really. Ram does not really need to be said. So characters getting meter faster, this means that more characters are able to interact also in certain places where usually it's only like only a couple of characters can do stuff. So for example, since I have the game up, we can use Ram. Really easy example of Ram. So you've seen this before, okay? But Baiken, right? But other characters can't do that, right? You need either like meter for a super, or you need some type of reversal to interact there. That means then, for characters that are really good at pushing their turn, not only are they not building meter when risk is max, which to be fair, if you're managing your resources well, your risk shouldn't really be that high, but For the characters that build risk really fast, this really helps them if they decide to do nothing because they're too scared of dying for being wrong, which I think is pretty nice, which eventually, whether or not this is a good thing, we don't know, eventually the person who is pushing will have to worry about not only reversal options, meter reversal options, but also passive meter options like YRC, for example, or BRC drift or stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty good change in IMO. Also for the risk resetting on Psych Bears, I think that will definitely reduce the impact of some situations as well. Like, you still take a fatty combo, but you won't get like absolutely memed, which is pretty nice. Changes affecting all the characters. So as a general rule, these changes improve balance for areas where some characters notably excelled over others. So unlike the previous point, I'm going to comment on this now. This is actually something that's pretty important in GG. Like, the difference between characters is like one of the themes of GG. It's always something that's really stressed in Guilty Gear. So I'm definitely interested to see what they mean by this. So the hurt box is 6p. The height of the hurt box as the attack comes out is now the same for all characters. The height of the hurt box was the same for all characters at the lowest point of the attack, but the hurt box height during the startup varied between characters. Making the height of the hurt box as the attack comes out the same means there is less a difference in what strengths each character can deal with. Special moves with retreating movement. These moves now cause the tension balance to deplete and the negative value to increase, similar to backdashes etc. This change aligns with the overall game direction by adding risk to retreating. Base damage scaling. Base damage scaling has been added to attacks that did not have it previously, with the exception of certain moves. This addresses the problem of some characters having moves used in similar ways, but with varying reward depending on whether or not the move had base scaling. Some moves, such as Close Standing S, still do not have base damage scaling, meaning they could lead into major damage just as before. So, I think that's a pretty interesting way of putting it. For 6p, that's kind of a we need to see, because you can't see the hitboxes and hurtboxes in game, right? Normally. Special moves with retreating movement. The main one you would definitely be thinking of off the top of my head is Happy Chaos, right? So there are some characters, I mean, Happy Chaos is the main one that comes off the top of my head, who they have a special move that makes them move backwards. So the game counts it as an attack and not as retreating movement, where other characters like Millia and Bridget backdash twice and then they just get danger right away. So I think this is a pretty good change. It's the reason why, by the way, you almost never see Happy Chaos players in danger, because they usually do Curse Toss backdash and then they're good. And I don't know necessarily what, like, it's kind of like a secret meter. Like, everyone has like a secret rating on, maybe it's on Dust Soup, I don't know, but everyone has a secret rating of like how much they're allowed to retreat. The base damage scaling, I know, that's, people have been complaining about the damage. We've been memeing about the damage. To be honest, I don't totally know off the top of my head. I don't personally have examples of like difference in base damage scaling. I'm sure they are there. They're literally there. That's why there's this change. But out of these three, probably the one that I like the most is the special moves with retreating movement, then base damage scaling. 6p we'll see. 6p we shall see. We shall see. Okay. So these are all the changes though that they did to everybody. So they mentioned this before, increase the amount of tension gained when blocking attacks. The amount gained now increases more depending on your character's risk. The amount of tension gained does not increase for the attacking character, which is a big deal, when an opponent with mask risk level blocks your attacks. This is also something, by the way, this last thing about tension, I feel like is their fix, because if you played older Guilty Gear games, you can go like negative, right? You can have like negative risk. So like you could fill up someone's risk, but then you could also like empty it. But this game doesn't have that. This game doesn't have that. I feel like this is kind of their way of like tweaking it. You know what I mean? And then now risk gauge depletes faster. Burst resets risk, which is nice. RC, so input timing window is not the same when performed with attack buttons. And with the Roman cancel button, there is now an input buffer when performed with the Roman cancel button. Fix the bug where the tension gauge would not deplete correctly when a Roman cancel activated simultaneously with the super flash of certain moves. I don't know about the last one. The first two is there's something that must be checked with this. by the way. We shall see. We shall see. I actually use the buttons for almost everything. Not everything, but almost everything. So just a couple of things I want to check, though. The 6P they talked about. Base damage scaling they talked about. My assumption is things like close slash, 6H, moves like that probably just scale 100%, but then they added more scaling to some other things. When a move with base damage scaling is the initial hit in a combo, the combo does less damage. Oh, it sort of sounds like they added P1, P2, like BB Persona style. Proximity requirement for an attack to connect. When a proximity requirement is added to an attack, this means that it will no longer connect unless within a defined range of the opponent's character's position. The range of the proximity requirement depends on the attack. This is insanity, by the way. I am really okay. Okay. If you want to know why I'm bugging, this on the left is a pretty common strategy to deal with some things. Like, oh, this character has a projectile that goes full screen. She can control the note and she can make it so. I mean, she has a long total duration during this though. So a really common strategy is just like swinging into it from far so that you activate it early so she doesn't have the advantage. But now they have this thing here that no matter what, it has to reach a certain thing, it looks like. We shall see. I wonder what type of moves they added this to. Tension balance. So tension balance is an internal parameter that affects the amount of tension gauge gained. The amount gained increases when your tension balance is high, decreases when it's low. Tension balance increases when you move forward or an attack connects with the opponent, and decreases when you create distance between yourself and the opponent, such as by backdashing. So this is going to cycle into moves that retreat as well, I think. Negative, we all know that's negative penalty. So when you pass the set value of retreating, backdashing, etc., you enter the danger state. If the state continues, you go into a negative penalty. You lose all your meter. You know, you're familiar with this. Here we are once again, and as usual, I know everyone else just went to whoever their main is, and then went to characters they strongly dislike. However, I am not that person, and instead, I will go through every single character one by one in order. And I'm in an interesting place because I play this character and this character. I have a theory about having a trifecta of characters, like 3 characters. Triumvirate is a better word, right? So I have this character, and then the other 2 characters that I really mess with are really deep in this list, so I require strong patience. We begin with Badguy. He has no changes. Holy snap. The extended range of standing HS makes his offense using far standing as even more potent. While it is now more challenging for him to get huge rewards from mid-range, to change the gunflame, make him better at poking from mid-range. Standing HS, expanded frontal hitbox, 6S, decreased attack level, no longer launches the opponent on ground and counter hit. Gunflame, decreased attack startup, decreased active frames, increased movement speed of the projectile. Interesting. I think he sounds the same. I feel like he got a slap on the wrist. Honestly, I don't really think he got slapped on the wrist. I think he paid a toll. That's what I feel like. So let's boot up the game real quick. Soul has a lot of strengths, but he has a couple of really important weaknesses. He's not dumpster. You're a fucking bitch. That shit is not true. You motherfuckers downplayed so hard that I actually thought he was bad. That's how bad it was. They actually got him. The Geo players didn't get me. The Faust players didn't get me. It was fucking Soul. The only people I believe was Soul. Imagine. Never again. Anyway. So Soul has two major weaknesses. 2 true major weaknesses. One is that his mid-range is stubby. So most characters, far slash is like with weapons, right? Slash, 2S have like range. Sometimes they have special moves with range. Now Soul is different in that his far slash, he is the weapon. He is the weapon. He is coming at you. And the trade for this is that he has advantage where most characters do not, right? So the thing is though, is that when he's doing offense, one thing that he really struggles against is flawless defense. This is very, very common against him. And it's a really common strategy, and they really have to adjust for this. It is relatively difficult to confirm how someone is guarding, like using FD to guard. And even if you adjust with something like this, even something like this whiffs, or like this, despite this being like fine, you have to go all the way there. So having 5H reach further is pretty good. It also means we'll have some more neutral application because it's not really a button you press in neutral like ever. You don't really use either of these buttons in neutral ever. So it should just give you more ways to hit with that move. And the return is, as we know, so if you get hit by this, as we all know, you are absolutely gone. Absolutely deleted. And it's a nice change too because, to be honest, this move does have like long total duration. So it's not like something you just sit and spam. You know, like you do have to use it well if you choose to use it in neutral. Plus, it makes his offense better, and his offense is like one of the reasons why you play him. The 6S thing does seem pretty sad. We'd have to see the attack level. I think the main reason they changed the attack level of 6S is because they decreased the startup of Gunflame. So it's kind of similar to how, like, in the June patch, they sped up. They reduced the recovery of Millia's H disc, but then they also added recovery to her throw. So I think they're doing that kind of just to line it up the same way. So I think overall it's net positive for him, and they buffed Gunflame, which it doesn't really move that fast in neutral. Sometimes you know, we watched old versions of Guilty Gear on this stream, and sometimes when you watch old versions of the move, you're just like, damn, like this goes so far, or it's so fast. So him having the faster Gunflame with less startup should mean he's less vulnerable to air dashing and like far pokes, far disjointed moves, and he's able to control mid-range a little bit more without having to risk like him having to go into you. So it sounds like a net positive to me. Don't listen to a Soul player if they say he's nerfed, please. Okay. Well, that was quick. Kyle Kiske. Kyle. Okay, not a lot of changes here also. The addition of the Guard Crush effect to Sacred Edge during Shock State and Dragon Install allows him to maintain his offense regardless of range. Foudre Arc now creates less distance with the opponent on grounded hit, making it easier for Kyle to continue his offense. So 5H bigger hitbox, Foudre Arc decreased knockback on hit, Sacred Edge during Shock State, Guard Crush, Sacred Edge, okay. Minimal, I would say. Mainly because they gave it to Sacred Edge, so it's meter usage. I don't think it's that big of a deal. On hit, this sounds like they want him to have more combo opportunities, Foudre Arc. I would say overall, small buff. Small buff. Like 5H, more consistent converting. Foudre Arc, probably also for conversions. Sacred Edge, just a fun new thing. I don't know how Kyle players feel about this, but I don't feel like this is... I don't think like this alone, because you know there's system mechanic changes that are here too. So I don't think this alone is major, right? Personally. May, Mr. Dolphin Horizontal has less recovery now when it connects to the opponent. This makes the S version less risky and the H version more plus, making both more viable than before. The extra distance of her forward jump also makes her aerial approaches more potent. Forward jump, increased movement distance. 3K, reduced recovery, increased active frames. Jump 2H now triggers counter hit effect. Dolphin, reduced recovery on hit or block. Arisugawa Sparkle, hitbox now remains after the projectile hits the ground. It seems like these are small buffs for me. The jumping thing is kind of a meme though. The jumping thing is kind of a meme because I already thought her jump goes pretty far, but I guess it just doesn't go as far as some characters. It seemed, I would say she got buffed. She got buffed for sure. So let's go through it one by one. So, one is her forward jump. So her forward jump on its own does not actually go that far, right? So like, but most, like Baiken is kind of floaty. May is not as floaty as other characters. She falls kind of fast, despite her high jump. So there's that. So I'm assuming dash change, but that should also affect her dash jump as well. So here's like her dash jump. So Baiken's dash jump, you know, it's alright. She clears a lot. So May also does. But this makes her even more scary because when she's jumping, because she's good at jumping. Like she has JS and then IDJH, all sorts of JH usage. Some characters have a lot of problems anti-airing May. So this is definitely helpful for neutral. It also makes her a little bit more flexible because on the ground, she's mostly like a counter poker and uses blinds with like Dolphins. Dolphins is instant and travels at you, but it's disadvantage. And then she has this for counter poking. So having being able to travel more by moving forward by jumping is both non-committal and lets her engage. Because usually she doesn't act. If you think about it, Mei doesn't usually engage you. Mei usually counterpokes you. This is pretty interesting because Ace Dolphin is already +5. So I'm assuming the startup is the same and the recovery is reduced. A really common strategy. There's a lot of strategies around dealing with Mei's S Dolphin because it's -5 on block, which means it's also minus on hit. It's -2 on hit. So depending on how much they reduce the recovery, there could be some pretty interesting, maybe not fun for the person fighting against her, but definitely interesting things that could happen because she has fast buttons, like her 5P is like 4 frames, for example. Now, the last thing is going to be, of course, about the Beach Ball. So, speed seems to be the same, but it having a hitbox after it hits the ground is kind of similar to, like, Anji's fence. So, there's probably just, like, some things to play with, right? Which is pretty nice. Okay. Alright. I would say nice changes for Mei. Axl Low. Axl got a ton of changes. This is the first character that got some changes, looks like. The ability to cancel standing P, crouching P, and other pokes during the recovery on hit or block makes his strengths more prominent at his preferred range. Rainwater now vacuums the opponent, both increasing the reward on hit and making it possible for Axl to maintain his offense on block. So 5P can be spammed on hit on block until the recovery ends. Crouching P can now be special cancelled on hit on block until the recovery ends. HS, the opponent will now be in the crouching state on grounded counter hit. Jumping P can now be special cancelled on hit or block until the recovery ends. JK, less distance traveled. JD now launches opponent higher with decreased horizontal blowback. Winter Mantis adjusts blowback when used as part of a combo. Now launches opponent higher, decreased horizontal blowback. Added a tumble. Snail increased knockback. And Rainwater draws the opponent in, decreases tension balance, increases negative value. Yeah, so first I want to talk about this special cancel on hit or block until the recovery ends. So the general rule of Guilty Gear, your cancels are generally tied to your active frames, as far as normals at least. So for example, this move's only 3 frame active, so it's really hard to delay. So just like me doing it fast, you can delay, but it only be by like a very little bit. This also applies to special cancel. So now with moves such as this, for example, notice how I can't like special cancel here. So now he'll be able to delay, which should make it a little bit easier for him to deal with dash block. He really struggles against dash blocking, and you notice it's all on moves like 5P, 2P, JP, mainly like his light kind of buttons. So that's kind of a nice change. It'll also encourage more people to use more of his buttons. At high level, they use all of these, right? They use this, for example. They use this, but your standard Axl is basically like this. That's all they use. Maybe low far slash. That's all they use. So that's a nice little change. The Winter Mantis thing. This is nice for like in the combo part. He looks negative on. I actually never checked, but he looks negative on hit. So this should help with that a little bit. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah, so this one actually falls in line with what they said, that moves that move backwards, they decrease your tension balance and increase your negative value, right? Some people with him, they do it's actually not a bad tactic. Some people use this like pretty well. So this is just falling in line with that. Remember at the beginning, I was like, I can't really think of a lot of moves at the top of my head that are retreating like this. So here's just an example of one. Chipp Zanuff. Alpha Blade horizontal now sends the opponent flying towards Chipp, easier for it to land more hits. The reduced startup for Senchu means it can combo into Rokusai on crouching hit, making it more rewarding depending on the situation. 6H is crouching on ground hit. It's a move they kind of use. It depends on the player. Some Chipp players use this, some don't. Alpha Blade looks like they want you to combo off it, but it's not faster. But I don't know where. Same with the air one. Senchu is a weird one. So this is pretty interesting. Senchu is 20 frames right now. So they have buffed Senchu already. Senchu went from like, I want to say 25, 26 to right now it's 20. Right? Right now it's 20. So now they're going to make it faster. Again. From Rokusai, I want to say it's attack level 2 or 3. It's attack level 3. Attack level 3 means it should be like 16 frame blocks and 16 frame hit stun. So on crouching hit, which means Sencha should be, as long as I'm not trolling, 17 frames. And then they also buff 6H, so they want you to use more buttons, ... And they want him to be able to get return for fighting people who use low moves against him, because a really common strategy against him is to use 2K. That's kinda what I'm thinking. The main thing seems that if someone is crouching, or you do something to force them to crouch like 6H, you get a better combo than normal. And then you get combos of Alpha Blade. Honestly, this P Alpha Blade, maybe a Chipp player could speak to his standard hit confirms, because one thing I was always told about Chipp is that his normal, like, hit confirm, you know, like he has a route where, like, he somehow gets you airborne or hits you airborne, and he does, like, 2S, 2H, delay, Alpha Blade, but I always forget which one. I don't know if this helps with that. I feel like it's like a mid combo part helping thing, and not like a, oh, he can combo off Alpha Blade type thing. I don't know. This gives me a feels like quality of life type change. Feels like / maybe new easier routes type change, because I'm pretty sure when they do that 2S 2H they do K alpha and not P. So yeah. Potemkin. I have a thumbnail of him crying in the rain, so let's see what they do to Potemkin. The additional range for his pokes, such as standing / and standing H, improve his mid-range game. Did he need that, though? Okay, usually I don't like cutting in between the balance intentions, but did they think his problem was he didn't have range? Because he definitely had range, I feel like. I don't... Oh, anyway, okay. Hammerfall allows for more... Like, did he need that, though? Okay, anyway, let's just keep going. I don't feel like that's what he needed. Okay, but we'll see. Anyway. At closer range, the faster start of FDB makes it harder for the opponent trying to escape by jumping, meaning his core throw mix-up is more potent. I'm probably talking about buttons, though, and not Garuda. Because when I read something like that, I'm like, oh, but he has Garuda impact, but, like, that's fair. Off his buttons is different than off guard impact. Let's see, let's look at / hitbox. I have the impression that his / and 5H were good, like, something that was good about him. I wonder if this is more of a, they want him to just fall in line with more characters that got buffs like that before. Okay, for his current / is not disjoint. His 5H is definitely esports, though. I'll give you the / because I did not know it was not disjoint. Because I played Millia, I was like, this move is fucking esports. Sweet reduced recovery is nice, though. Sweet reduced recovery is nice, for sure. That for sure, because people never press that. Heat Knuckle, now, oh yeah, he needed that. Okay. Mega Fist back. I know he actually needs it, but, you know, Guard Crush. Me and Guard Crush never have a good time. Ooh, Mega Fist backwards? Decreased tension bounce? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sorry. Sped up the timing when oh, okay, so the armor activates faster is what it is. Because here's the thing. When they're like... Because the thing is, the armor is already pretty hard to deal with in most cases. You usually need to plan something specific to deal with Hammerfall. However, the armor activating faster is definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. FDB reduced the attack startup. So the current startup is, so we can get an idea. We can make a guesstimate. FDB is currently 21 frames. Minimum, and it's -6. I guess it will, because his close slash attack level 4, so I feel like them making it faster is, oh, we want him to be able to use this in other spots besides high attack level spots. I say overall buff, though. I say overall buff. / buff, 5H buff, sweep buff, Heat Knuckle buff, Hammerfall buff, FDB buff. The only thing he really got nerfed is Mega Fist back. Okay, Faust. Before I read anything, please, Arxis. Please, he's an item throw character. Please. The increased knockback on 5H, sweep, etc. allows Faust to create distance from the opponent, meaning he could use could this be more. The reduced startup for mix makes it easy to use in combos, while making it harder for the opponent to interrupt when using block strings. Air dash, sped up timing with the input buffer window. This probably just quality of life. 2P reduced upper hurt box. So this I think is fair. 6P further knockback, 5H increased knockback, sweep increased knockback, mix decreased startup. I want to say it's like 21. I might be trolling because I like to do that. So mix is currently 21 frames, yes. So that means off attack level 4 moves, like 3 frame gap. So making it faster should help in a couple spots. I feel like he has a bunch of attack level 4 moves already. Like he has, I know 6H attack level 4, 6P is attack level 2, but basically everyone's is. Almost everyone is. 2D is attack level 3, which is uncommon. 2H attack level 4, yup. So if I had to guess, it's probably like 16 or 17, you know, so you could use it off attack level 2, attack level 3 moves more often. That's my guess anyway, all versions. And then Scarecrow reduced lower hurt box. Brother. I'm gonna say this one's memes. This one's memes. This one's memes. Call me a hater, this one's memes. Alright, Millia, what are the things we've been waiting for? Am I going to be happy or not? Okay, again, so they increased attack level of 10 top to make it less risky for Millia to use in strings and during neutral. Then she now has access to more powerful mix-up in more situations, as she can cross the opponent using Turbo Fall even in the corner. So 6k reduced recovery. Okay, 6k is, I want to say, -1 now on block. It should be -1. Should, emphasis on should. When the game came out, this was plus, but they nerfed it, but then gave it a special cancel, which I always felt like was overall nerf. Okay, it's -2, so reduced recovery. So it's plus on hit, by the way. Right now, it's like +1 on hit. Should be like +2 on crouching, something like that. 5 HS now bounces opponents higher with decreased horizontal blowback combo thing, maybe. 6H decreased attack startup. So this one's actually pretty interesting because right now it's pretty fast. It is 17 frames. This is like one of your core frame trap tools, Millia's 6H, but there's a couple of examples of it being hard to use against some characters depending on context. So for example, if I was to boot up, because there's a few ways you can look at it when they do the speed increase, right? So a common one is this. You could deal with this pretty trivially. Both her jab and 2K are really low attack levels. I want to say that for example, 2P, I want to say is 0 or 1. 2P is 0, 2K is 1, so 9 frames. So that's like, I want to say like an 8 frame gap there. So it's actually a pretty big gap for most characters. Usually, the reason why this is so effective is it's not really good on people who are mashing. It's good on people who are delay mashing. And that's kind of like the strength of these things. So if you like mix your options up enough, like I always thought this was fine. So I feel like it being faster is good in that you can use it more aggressive. This is just at a glance, is that you could use it more aggressively against immediate mashing, but then you would have to adjust, I guess, delay mashing. But she has other stuff for delay mashing, so I'm sort of like, Then the other thing too about it being faster, probably the most obvious one is this. So there is a gap, which means that people with reversals can interrupt. To be honest, they make close slash plus, so this one, if it's from that perspective, then I'm just kind of like whatever. But then, I feel like there also might be just like more opportunities to just use it in different ways is all. So I'm kind of open to it. The sweep reduced recovery, by the way. Why does this matter? This is happiness. Because this should, I'm sorry, I'm using OBS. Yeah, there you go. I'm using OBS. But yeah, she has been memed for a while for her sweep being -11, so it's punishable by a lot of stuff. This makes it so that you get put in pretty precarious situations in mix-up situations where you basically just have to go balls to the wall. Honestly, there's no other way to put it. Where like a character that has a guaranteed way of punishing your sweep, but you're in your advantage situation. But if you guess wrong and your return is low, so okay, block. Cool, sick, right? My assumption is that they'll probably make it -8. There's not really any reversals faster than -8 in the game, so it's pretty, startup. So Baiken's activates frame 1, but it's a parry, so she should be safe to that. So that's definitely a friendly change. The ground throw thing that they said here, ground throw, frame advantage, and distance after a successful throw is not the same against all characters. This is definitely a pretty niche thing. Well, You guys will probably have to care later, but at the moment, only Millia players care about this. Turbo Fall. So, Turbo Fall. This is my Millia brain at work. This is a nice change. This and the tandem top change is a nice change. How much better she actually is will pretty much depend on 6H and tandem top. What is the important thing about about Turbo Fall? So one legitimate weakness, and you've probably seen this a million times if you watch anyone at this point play the character, is she gets sequences like and the main thing here is that she usually goes to high-low in the corner, and high-low's pretty good. The main problem is that you're not doing a lot of damage. You may not necessarily want to break the wall, and there are other characters who are good at doing mix-ups, who are better at controlling the wall with high-low than her, who's supposed to be the mix-up character. So them giving her this really helps, because it basically means that usually this is a niche situation. It's something that can happen, but there are times where Millia gets like this, and she can like cross you up in the corner here. So it's niche, right? But it comes up. So now it means she can get it more often, which makes her mix-up more potent, because she doesn't need to wall up necessarily. She just has a way to cross. And it feels like they are kind of hedging against her mix-up, how strong her mix-up is, because in mid-screen, you're using air dash normally, right? So you're usually doing something like this type of thing. So now they're giving you high-low or cross, where normally, depending on how you do it, you do cross then high-low, or you will do like same side high-low, like, you know, in mid-screen. So that's kind of nice. The only downside to this is that generally, Turbo Fall is a little capped. Turbo Fall is a little gimmicks. It's good. It's a little gimmicks. If you're playing on PC, they did not speed this up. So on PC with practice, you can definitely react to it. The only time I tend to use it is when so I wouldn't do it like off someone like this. Instead I would do it like usually something like here, where you don't really know whether or not I'm gonna cross. That's where I find it to be the most effective. So the fact that they're giving her that is ... question mark at the moment, but there might also be more there, and we'll see. Tandem top increasing the attack level. I don't actually think, because they're like increasing the attack level, meaning it's less risky for Millia to use in strings and during neutral. But quite frankly, this move is slow as fuck. Like it's pretty slow. I feel like with the sweet reduced recovery, you might get some news. You might have to restructure mix again, like once again, and then on top of that, I gotta see how fast tandem top is straight up. Tandem top is like, so it doesn't go away on block, which is nice. But H tandem is like 51 total, so it's really long. I feel like immediately the main thing that H tandem does is when this thing happens. So by the way, you have to be really good with the character to do this. By the way, you have to be a goat. I will say I'm pretty good at this. I get mad when other people do this, what I'm about to show you to me. However, I don't blame them for trying, because I think it's fair to be like, show me that you can do this. So the disc as of right now is generally like plus 20 something off the top of my head. I forget. So what people will try is let's say you do this, they will actually try to mash after your plus double digit. I mean, it's more than double digits, so like plus 20 something. They'll actually try to mash there, because what they're counting on is you taking too long to visually confirm that they blocked. Right? Including other Millia players have done this to me too. If you watched the stream the other day, when I played Tusk, he did that to me. I was like, bro, you cannot actually do this to me, bro. Like, I'm going to hit you, and then I do, right? So this is like a quality of life change. I think this is actually a pretty good change, because it is hard. It is hard to do. You do have to train it, but it can be done. So I would say good changes, but I don't know. I don't know. I would say good changes, though. Good changes. We shall see. I've been playing a little bit more of her recently, just to see how she will fare in matchups, so we'll see. Anyway, Zato Wan. So the ability to move only Zato or only Eddie during Break the Law. opens up new possibilities for strings. The reduced hurtbox on activation of Sunvoid makes it more difficult for the pain. Okay. Anyway, 6k reduced recovery, decreased knockback. Okay, mix. Hopefully, it seems to fall in line with Millia, by the way, because both Millia and Zato have like 27 ... frame 6Ks, so this is nice. JD sped up the timing when Zato pauses before the attack is active. That's the one they were all complaining about, so we know. Break the law. Only Eddie will move now when 1 or 3 is input. Eddie will no longer move when 7 or 9 is input. And you can move faster. Tension balance now decreases. Yes, the usual. Sunvoid, okay, if you guys want to... Okay, so first of all, I think these are pretty nice changes overall for him. These look like overall buffs for him. The ... question mark is definitely break the law. That's going to be... We see the results of that change in a couple weeks. The one that you guys will feel right now... and I'll show them. There's a couple. By the way, these changes right now... This feels like the October patch last year. I want to say. I don't know how you guys feel. This feels like the October patch. Some characters have like no changes. Some characters just have small changes. I feel like the summer patch had like tons of changes. Okay, so 6k. This move is really slow. It's like Millia's 27 frames. I think the main difference though is that it's not like Millia and it doesn't like low crush. So you basically never see people do this right now. The JD thing we know, just like some mix thing that gets affected. But to be honest, they came up with a bunch of new setups, but it's just stabilized their mix a little bit more. Now the big one though, the big one is so Zato counterplay that's not gonna work anymore. So okay, so I got hit, right? Now look at this. So there is a range, and I don't see people do this. I had to be told as well that this was a thing. There it is. That there's a range that because he's like reaching to you, that you can like YRC on it there. You can burst there. So that should help him out a lot. And then, to be honest, even though my reaction was like, ugh, to be honest, though, you can also fight. In real matches, they won't do that. In real matches, they'll do a better one. I'm just using this as a simple example. Very, very. I'm not being like if I played against somebody that did this, I would just use like burst or sight or whatever, right? The real thing, though, is that even though they did this, and I'm like pain. Remember that the more that you block, the more meter you build, and the less meter that they build. So maybe it's not so bad. I would say overall buffs for him, I would say. Ramlethal Valentine. So without reading, all I see is a small box. The additional range for crouching HS makes it easier to go into highly damaging combos, making her more threatening at a close range, as if she had problems being threatening. Jump D works as a better jump in due to the addition of a hitbox behind Ramlethal, as if she had problems with that. As Arar Lumo is a potent offensive tool from any situation, the damage and situation on a hit have been reworked. I don't know what move that is because I can't read. It's the Rekka. Ear Lumo. It's the Rekka. Okay, so let's read this again. Arar Lumo was a potent offensive tool from any situation. The damage situation on hit have been reworked. Crouch HS expanded the front hill hitbox. So if we want a reference for 2 HS. To be fair to Ramlethal, even though that sentence is really capped, you don't see this move too often. I think this move was fine, though. What do you guys think? I think this move was fine. I think they're memeing us a little bit on this one. JD expanded her hitbox behind Ramlethal, just for reference. You know what? To be fair to this move, one I do see this move a lot. But to be fair, I will give them, I'm squinting because I'm in pain saying this, the move doesn't hit the way the animation makes it look like it hits. Yeah, that's what we'll say. Yes, I will give them that. Aralumo, damage down. We like that. She has a bunch of fuck you, you're dead if you get hit in various situations. Aralumo, third hit. The opponent can now recover after landing, so soft knockdown, huh? So, you know what though? I'm going to say she's either the same or only slightly dumb. And here's why. The thing is though, one of the best things about her is neutral, and they didn't really touch her neutral, really. I would go as far as saying they gave her more tools for neutral. And neutral is one of her strong points. one of her weak points for sure is that she's not like great mid screen, and out of the North American EU agreed top tiers, because you know in Japan, Korea, it's kind of a mixed bag on how they feel about Ram. I will say she does have the weakest. No. Ram has like the weakest conversion ability mid screen. She's kind of like Baiken, where like most of her conversions are either air versus air, certain jump ins, or she hit you a certain way. That being said, though, getting memed less by Rekka is pretty nice, because I mean I'm sure you've all seen her do like Rekka dash cancel Rekka like 18 times, and you're like, wow, what a combo! You took like 70% for no reason. So we will see. As a side note, both with the Rekka doing less damage and Rekka 3 being soft down, I'm about to say it. I can say this politely. One thing about HC, Ramlethal, and Nago in particular, Leo actually is not quite like this. Even though I think he's also like in that group of top characters, he's not like this anymore. He used to be like this, but he's not like this anymore. One thing about these characters is you could be really good against those characters, but you still have to be like really like someone can do things that are wrong. They can do things that are wrong, and you're still scared because if you get hit, you're dead, and you have to adjust quickly to it. So I feel like the lower damage plus the soft knockdown on Rekka definitely helps with that. I feel like people will still play her pretty bullish, but you won't feel so bad unless they really earn some of these hits. But I don't feel like her neutral is down at all. So seems good. We have to see it in practice. I want to say she got a slap on the wrist again, but we shall see, I want to say. Because again, despite my feeling on the changes, there are system mechanics as well to think about. Also, Leo Whitefang. Small box, but honestly, I think he's in a pretty good spot. I don't think he's like unfair. And I think our best Leos, like, you don't really see Leo upsets like you saw in Season 1. Like, I don't feel like you see that anymore. I kind of think he's in a good spot, personally. Okay. Adjustments to knockback and blowback for 6k and increased range for Urtis Cultist Gestoba. That's yours. Yes. Make them more valuable in combos and forming block strings, as if he fucking had problems with this. Why do they do this? Actually? This shit pisses me off. Why do they say they take... This is some Capcom shit, bro. They fucking are like, this is some Yoon had problems getting in type shit, bro. Like, why do they do this, actually? Why do they say this, bro? Why? Let me write that. Come on, dude. Let me write this, actually. I mean, they did this to us last patch. They're like, Leo has problems mixing you, so, like, come on, bro. Sweep launching the opponent higher on hit gives Leo more of an advantage, making it easier for him to go into Okuzeme. This is actually kind of a little pain, I'm not gonna lie. So, certain hurt boxes, expanded hurt box. Wait a minute, they didn't write about this, though. 6k, decreased knockback, decreased horizontal knockback distance. Sweep launches opponent higher. Yurstis Cultist Gestoba. Expanded frontal hitbox and hurt box. So, certain hurt boxes, there's definitely one move I'm thinking of, and you guys already know. A little story time. I went to a tournament in Mexico called Thunderstruck. And there was a Leo player there, and he played the Soul player. The Soul player won this tournament. And he was like, man, like, Soul is so hard. I was like, Soul is hard? He's like, yeah, dude, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, you don't run at him that much. You do 5k, you do 5h, and when you press 5h, you do the card point, and that's it. He can't beat you in neutral. That's it. Next day, he was like, oh, we were going even now. I was like, haha. So, while this move doesn't look too impressive on its own, to be fair, the unfuckwithable, I'm definitely rooting for this. Even though Baiken is good at fighting these moves, most characters are not good at fighting these moves. It's the main reason why Leo still exists, is still as prevalent as he is. I don't know what they're going to change, though. That being said, the sweet thing is another ... question mark, because one of the things that has saved us, actually, is that his Oki is weaker than Season 1. So, in Season 1, he had Turbulence hard knockdown, Sweep -5 hard knockdown, Throw has one of the best throws in the game, and then DP. Now, and he has Zwite, so that's 236H, the cross knockdown. So, out of these, DP knockdown is not so bad, right? DP knockdown, let's go through each one and why this kind of matters. Also, if you play this game I mean, honestly, I'll go as far as saying if you're in Celestial, you should know this, by the way, because Leo is OD. I complain about Leo, so I learned about all this stuff. And I also play Baiken Mama. You might be asking, why do I call her Baiken Mama? Why do I call her Mama all the time? Because she carries me. I know, it's fine, it's fine, okay? So first would be DP. So the main thing to know about this is that I did it slow because I'm using the other screen, but you can't really meaty overhead on you off this one. You can meaty overhead off this. You can basically meaty off this. And of course his throw is one of the best throws in the game. He gets put in back turn right away. You get to do a bunch of stuff here. Now sweep, Turbulence is nerfed by the way. So I'll actually do like this. So they nerfed this knockdown. This used to be a hard knockdown, and they used to do this all sorts of nonsense. Now it's pretty reasonable in that it's a soft knockdown, but you do get a mix-up right away. You get a high-low right away. You don't four-way them. And then there's sweep. So sweep, some Leos that I play don't even go into back turn off this, because he really, like, he gets to meet you, but like he is not in like a super good situation, and he's pretty scary in forward stance. And his sweep is kind of risky in this version compared to previous version because it's -8 and not -5. So I'm wondering how much additional advantage he has. They keep on giving Leo changes like, oh, his mix not good enough, so we need to give him back something. That being said, I feel like this is a net even because, okay, sweep buff and then like hit confirms, but I feel like he was already good at this, so I want to see what they do with this. But the expanded hurt boxes on some moves is a huge ... question mark because he has like his neutral is just so good even now because he has this and then he has like moves he can act rank 2 out of these things. Like this is esports, this is esports. So I'm curious to see what moves, and we're not gonna know for a little while because again we can't see the hitboxes and the hurt boxes. Nagoriyuki. All right, this is the one everyone wanted to see. The box is small. Keep that in mind. The box is small, so I'm a little spooked. Nagoriyuki's defense now varies with the current amount of blood gauge. The damage and attack properties of his normal moves still increase the higher his blood gets, but he also takes heavier damage from the opponent, meaning he lets... Oh my god! How woke can you be? I made this change. I made this change. What a good change. And you know what they wrote? It's like they watch my channel. It's not even that they said he takes more damage the higher his blood gauge goes. It's the second part. It's where he says he needs to consider any risks he takes. Finally, these motherfuckers need to care about getting hit. I don't know how much it is yet, but I just feel like I feel like I've been heard. I feel like I'm heard. Usually I don't feel visible. You know what I'm saying? I feel heard for the first time. All they did in Dragon Ball is nerf my shit, bro. I feel like they finally are like, okay, you know what? All you did was spit. You said Vegeta was good right away. You said DPSS fixed the game. You said GT Goku was fine. We need more anti-air assists, so we added them. They wait so long. But now for the first time, even if it's not even that big of a deal, even if they only, because I want to say he has like, I don't want to say the wrong number, but I want to say like even if they make his HP like 0.98 when he has high blood, I just feel heard with that sentence. You know what I'm saying? I just feel heard. It's 2S increase recovery. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, let's see what they do. Blood gauge. Nagoriyuki's defense now varies with the amount of blood gauge. Crouching S, increased recovery. Forward standing S. Final follow-up hit, reduced recovery. This move is double digits, so I don't know why they would do this. This move, I don't know what this does besides combo stuff. I'm gonna give it a bug. 5H, reduced lower hitbox. And then Fukyo reduces, only Fukyo back reduces tension balance. Okay, we went through this. Let's take a look at 5H real quick. So I've been having this thought of, I feel like Nagoriyuki, oh, this shit was -25. God damn, alright. It could be a little less than -25. So we have multiple hitboxes here. So this is the default one. It was one of the only disjointed moves in the game when the game came out. I want to say this is the next one. So they said reduced, and this is the last one. I want to say they said God damn, esports. Esports. Electronic sports. Alright. Reduced lower hitbox. That's pretty good. For the world. for the planet. That's pretty good. I want to say politely that I feel like Nagoriyuki is a character that is a really good example of a character that's actually overtuned. Not broken, overtuned. And what I mean is, like, he's a strike throw character, he's a neutral control character, but he has all these things helping him do these things. So, for example, one common complaint about being a strike throw character is like, oh, I have to take a risk, and my opponent can interact with my offense a lot compared to, like, the... I'll spare Jacko this time. Compared to, like, the Goldlewis with meter, Zato, Baiken throw, Leo throw, like, those things, right? And they're like, oh, if I'm wrong, I'm gonna die. So, like, you feel it a lot against top tiers. Like, HC, like, okay, if I hit him, I have big return, but if he hits me, I lose. Okay? But Nago, he has, not only does he have the most HP right now, and he has a lot of ways to enforce himself using advantage, because he has Clone, which is plus, he has the threat of delay special cancels, he has Beyblade DP as a threat, he has Back Fukyo as a threat, his close slash, as we know, is +3. Attack level 4 moves in the Back Fukyo is +2. And then on top of all these things too, he has the command grab, which not only, you know, there's the blatant things of it restores his blood gauge, increases HP, things like that. So there's the thing too that he can create situations where usually you can pick throw as an option, but you can't because he's gonna command grab you. And he has the huge range, and it's really, really hard right now to interact with certain, honestly, pretty simple, like, strings, like high blood level 2S, 5H. Pretty hard to interact with. He's another character, I said it with Ram, but I high-key think that he's probably, out of Ram, HC, and himself, he is the biggest violator of players can do things poorly and not feel the consequences. So Ram has low HP, right? Relatively low. She takes damage. So even though she's going ham because of the damage, at least they'll feel the impact of their error. Happy Chaos, okay, they're memeing you, but he has problems getting out on defense. He does have to gamble on defense. Even if he hits you for getting out and gets a big reward, he still has to defend properly. People have to learn how to manage the resource properly. I know someone will pop in and be like, it's not hard to manage the resource of HC. I get it. But he does have a skill floor that you have to reach, and before then you're getting memed. Not only are you getting memed, but people will dodge you, teabag you. I went through it. I don't like Happy Chaos. I went through that month on my alt account of people sending me hate mail, calling me shit, like all this shit while I was learning. Up until I learned him, and then people would just stop playing it. Okay? But him, you can have a relatively simple game plan. I feel like it's pretty easy to copy just what the good players do. You don't really die for being wrong. You build so much meter for getting hit and stuff. I don't know. I just think it's good. This thing is good, while keeping stuff that's generally strong. I want to say, but you know, like 2S more recovery so you can whip punish it, and 5H potentially being able to go under it and use 6P more means that, because people were using trying to do like dash blocks so that you could like dash into the 5H and IB it, and the 5H is like -14, something like that. Where's 2S? I want to see 2S recovery before we move on. 15 frame recovery, it's fast. 4 frame active. So in this case, by the time you see the move, he's already like I'm using standard Arxis numbers, so let's see, 20. By the time you see it, he's probably only like five-ish frames before he recovered. That's where the plus on whiff thing comes from. So we'll see. But this, we just need to see how much recovery it has. Most 2S's, by the way, so I'll give you an example of a move, because this move is not only no recovery and has good return, but it's also a low. So let us compare with another character, Mama. So this move has less active frames, only by 1, but it's 19 total. So you have way longer. People whip punish this pretty reliably. So here you have 13 frame, basically 13-ish frames ish, as opposed to like 5-ish. Even if it ends up not being super impactful, I feel like I have been heard, and then there's also system changes on top of this. So This is happiness, I would say. I feel like they're listening to the rest of the world, you know what I'm saying? Giovanna. Alright, let's see if the downplane worked. Crouching H now draws the opponent in, creating major changes to her combos. Using a Sol Puente can lead to higher return than before. She has access to more powerful combos in the corner due to the new wall bounce defense effect for standing HS. So her combo, it's kind of weird to hear like, oh, we're gonna make her damage higher, but again, they're changing scaling on a bunch of stuff. That being said, right now they do a ton of like wall bounce stuff, but it's pretty much locked behind Spiral Arrow. So it looks like the main thing they're going for is definitely reward, which is interesting because she already has pretty good reward right now. She is like many new characters to this game, her conversion ability is very, very consistent. Okay, so HS bounces opponent higher with decreased H blowback, added wall bounce. 2H draws the... Oh, it's on hit or block too. This is on block though. I don't think... On block, it seems not good. On hit, it seems good. On block, it does not seem great, to be honest. Frame advantage and distance after successful throw is not the same for all characters. So, unlike Millia, you know, notice how with Millia, I was like, oh, this is something only Millia players care about now, but you might care about it later as they develop. So for Geo, this feels like a quality of life because her left-right off throw was character specific. So you had to do it different ways to different characters. Like, I remember when I was playing her, some characters were pretty easy. Ram was annoying, for example, to do left-right. You could do it, but it was just annoying. So this is pretty nice. Assuming, by the way, that it makes her left-right universal, right? Reduce to lower her box on Sol Puente. Now less likely to end up behind the opponent when the first hit hits an opponent near the corner. That's kind of nice too, because we talk about like bursting people in the corner. So that seems like something that can come up. The first hit now launches higher, decreased blowback. The first hit now launches the opponent less than before when used multiple times in one combo, which is pretty interesting. So it seems, I would say, overall positive. I feel like in a version of the game where it seems like they want the damage to be lower, it seems like her damage is still gonna be fine. And remember, her conversion ability is like some of the best in the game. So I think pretty good, looking pretty good. Anji, balance intentions. 5H now launches the opponent on grounded hit, making it possible to combo from Fusion into Rin, and then go into Okizeme off Isokutobi, meaning not only does he have access to more combo routes, but it lead to better situations for him. Let me just check what Isokutobi is. I actually only legitimately started labbing against him with Baiken. You know, I usually put him in I don't know all the time. Isokutobi is the hop? What type of stuff are you supposed to do with the hop? Nagiha gives Anji more of an advantage now due to blowback adjustment, making him easier to maintain his offense. So 6P, bigger hitbox, that's good. 5H launches opponent on grounded hit, danger. Okay, Fujin, decrease hostile to blowback distance. Nagiha now launches the opponent higher. I think he has more consistent return, and he has better. He's easier for him to keep his turn when he's attacking. They didn't really address what I always feel like is his main problem, which is I always feel like his main problem is that he just is too committal all the time. But I feel like it seems like they're really sticking with it. They're like, hold that. But 1, more combos, 2, more consistent situations. So even though he's too committal, if he gets you, you should be scared. I think it's fine. It could be a lot worse, honestly. You know, I keep saying that if Anji's good, the game sucks. So, I mean, they could have done way more demonic stuff with him. I think this is pretty reasonable. I think, as a Millia player, I think I could reach across the aisle and be like, it's fine for a character to have more consistent return because people don't care that much about getting hit by you in certain situations because you can't do shit. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Frankly. Ino. She can now jump cancel at the beginning of her hover dash. So more flexible movement, I would say. This allows her to move a greater distance forward than with a standard jump. Combined with the reduction to sultry performance's landing recovery, she now has a greater arsenal of approach options from the air. Sultry performance as in... That's the dive kick. Or I guess I shouldn't even call it dive kick because she is the one... She dives headfirst. This move, though, did they need to reduce the landing recovery of that move, though? I don't like that. That I don't like. I like the first change. Startup can now be jump canceled. Sped up timing email can block. They always fix this because they're always overlooked that. The timing is not the same as when canceling the startup of a jumping attack with faultless defense. Fix a bug where it's possible to psych burst after a dash cancel. The motion would now be interrupted if you input back, up back, or down back. Air dash, the motion would now be interrupted, same thing. Added proximity requirement. So we saw this before. In that if the note is coming for you, it needs to reach you. You can't like stick a hitbox into it, which is really crazy for some characters. For some characters aren't going to care. So fast characters with long disjoints that can specifically reach Eno, characters that are good at just canceling the projectile, they all won't care. If you're a character who your strat is running into it or swinging into it, then you're going to care a lot. Then stroke the big tree. Reduced hurt box before the movement begins. So that sounds like low profile activate faster. The upper hurt box of this attack steadily decreases as the move comes out as before. This change reduces the hurt box for set timing when it was extended too high. Do they show us on this loop? Here's pretty deep into the move. Here's like around like frame 7. Here's frame 4 on 236S and frame 7-8 on 236H. And this is frame 5 on 236S, and this is like later at 236H. So that's kind of what it sounds like. We'll see. As usual, hitbox, hurtbox, we gotta see. This though, the die kick having less landing recovery is a little pain. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I already thought that move was mad scrubby. And it's pretty fucking fast already too, so it's pretty hard to deal with. So I guess their thing is like, well, she's launching herself at you, so hold that, and I'll accept responsibility even if I don't like the change. I don't want to look at this. Please nerf him. Expanding oh my god, the box is small. Expanding the hitbox of jump H behind Goldlewis Dickinson makes it easier to connect after jumping over the opponent. This makes his pressure. This one actually doesn't mean anything though. Thunderbird now disappears when Goldlewis takes damage, making it more challenging. We don't ask for a lot, bro. Honestly, we don't ask for that much, bro. Not only do we not ask that much, this guy, Thomas Thunderbird, he definitely got fired. He definitely got a demotion. He definitely got a demotion. Even though there's counterplay, that shit was cap. We all know that shit was cap. We all know it was not fair. 5k stagger? He doesn't have that right now. Jump H. Okay, I actually think that's cool and fine. And the move looks like it should have it already. Thunderbird, all versions. The attack hitbox now disappears when Goldlewis take damage. The hit effect of the final hit now varies depending on the security level. Burn it down, please. Yeah, hold that, bitches. Fuck you. Hold that. Even though he's still a meme character, at least it's lowercase m. At least I can stop saying that he beats you by losing. What a painful 6 months it's been. What a good change. I feel hurt. I just feel heard, bro. Jacko, deep breaths. Jacko Valentine. Servants now fly higher and farther when hit when crouching S? I guess it doesn't go that far, huh? This makes it viable not only as a starting point for our offense, but also in powerful strings, making use of the time difference before the attack hits. The changes to countdown to launch on hit makes it easier for Jacko to go in for a combo after blocking the explosion. I guess I've been asking a lot to be able to learn how to use this move. Let me look at the changes, and then I want to talk about her a little bit. So there's 2S, change the service trajectory when hitting them with this attack. They'll now move both higher and farther. Does attack reduce frontal hurt box after the attack active frames end. Fix a bug causing unintended servant behavior with servants when a servant's hitbox touches another servant under certain conditions. Throw a servant added wall bounce effect. The wall bounce thing is nice. This is a damage thing. Characters like Mei and Baiken have this. Geo has this a little bit right now. It sounds like Geo's gonna have more of this, where there are builds of combos that you deal. Even though you're dealing damage to the wall, you're not right next to the wall, so sometimes you can kind of finesse it and do slightly more damage. It's something that's really helpful for like Baiken, for example. Like I feel like Baiken uses this the most. Mei used it a lot before they nerfed it, by the way. Release servant will now register input when the button is held as well. Okay. Countdown, adjusted launch, increasing time when follow-up attacks are possible. Yeah, I want to say maybe small buff plus quality of life. You know, I haven't like talked about her a lot this patch like before. I feel like everyone knows now. The 2S thing, it looks like they just gave her more stuff to lab basically. But I feel like also the type of person who plays this character likes that. This was one of the characters besides like Anji that I was really concerned about with this patch to see what they would do, because she has the potential to just be like super strong, you know. But yeah, I think this is fun. I think these are pretty reasonable. I don't think there's anything particularly egregious. Again, there's also things you have to consider with the system, because Jacko is definitely a character that wins by pushing offense and jacking your risk game. So we'll see how that affects her long term. I don't know. This one is like we gotta just see how it plays out type thing. Happy Chaos. The box looks decently long. JD now drops the opponent in, making it easier to lead into an advantageous situation for Chaos at close range, as if he had a problem doing that. 6K could be easily included in combos from any situation and was extremely powerful in maintaining offense on block. The attack startup has been increased. I want to say, I'm probably lying to you, that this move was already like 16 frames already, so... oh, it's 14. Yeah, 14 frames. Now, the thing about him though, okay, so this is my guess. My assumption is that this move is 17 frames or slower. Why? Because he has no attack level 4 moves. Remember, he doesn't have an H button. His H button is a gun, right? So, right now, one counterplay that most characters can't, is like scary to interact with, is with his kicks. On close slash, he's usually just like, he's just moving, you know? So I feel like that's the intent, is that they just want you to have more places to interact. It no longer hits consecutively from crouching K, meaning different moves will be needed from different situations. So what they mean here specifically is that you can't combo, because there is a gap already. There is a gap, but they're saying you can't combo, which means you will have to go into 2D, I want to say, because it's not like you're going to do 2K6P. You have 2K6S, but if I recall correctly, 2K6S only works on crouching. I might be lying to you. 2K6P is pretty niche. I know they use it for wall slump. They use 2K6K for wall slump too also. So we'll see. Let's look at all the changes though. So 6K increased startup but launches the opponent higher. 6S launches the opponent higher. JD pulls him in. At the ready, reduced recovery when activated with no content. Oh, they just want to make sure that you don't literally kill yourself, I guess? No. I mean, okay. So, I want to say that for at the ready, they list both. Yeah. So they list both of these as at the ready. So they're talking about 2-6S for sure. So it's already plus. So it's more plus when he has no concentration. So okay, niche Happy Chaos counterplay. But when he has no concentration, politely, most Happy Chaos players do not know how to play a typical neutral game politely. So for the majority of the Happy Chaos field, if for some reason they mismanage and they don't have concentration, you can basically just watch them flail and punish him. Like, the real thing that protects him is the gun. So this sounds like he's more plus when he doesn't have concentration, which is an interesting buff. I also feel like this change is supposed to encourage somebody with no concentration to approach. Because most of the time, they either flail or run away until they get it back. And running away is even more discouraged, right? So, cancel aim can now... Oh my god. That's a nice quality of life, by the way. That I feel like is stick-only, maybe, quality of life. Because there were definitely times where I was like, bro, like, I gotta go down from this. If you're playing on hitbox, you don't give a fuck. But that's definitely nice. Scapegoat reduces tension balance. Curse reduce... Okay. We gotta see 6K and 6S in practice, huh? Like, 6K makes me feel like off close slash, you have more chances to interact. But then they say both launch higher. I think that means combos are easier, so that they're still leaning in on his conversion ability being out of control. And also remember that one of the changes they made in the summer patch is that they made it so that burst doesn't go as high, so it's harder to make combos that are burst safe than when the game came out. So this sort of looks like they're giving it back to him, kinda. But then on the other hand, there are contexts too where it might affect certain strategies he has right now. I think this is like we gotta see. It doesn't look like as a big of a hit as like on Nago, for example. And then again, the system mechanic changes, but I feel like unlike Ram and Nago, and even I'm gonna say even Jacko, because I don't like Jacko. I definitely don't think so. No, it's definitely not top tier. Like she's good, she's not top tier, but she does have the thing about building your risk. Specifically with HC, he doesn't really build your risk. You usually have like the meter tax on him. As in, like, you're kind of encouraged to use meter against him to just mitigate the things that he would do. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out. As far as counterplay, out of the HC Nago Ram, it looks like they tried to nerf him, but it's not really clear what it's gonna look like to me compared to the other two. All right, Mama. All right, get hype, Mama. Deep breath, please. Baiken is more of a threat at close range now. Exactly what she needed. As she can now more easily follow up on cross-up Yozan because she did. I'm going to keep it real. No bias, but you guys all saw me. Oh, wait, you didn't see it, to be fair. But, oh, you did see it. Like, you saw me play against Nago. I hit that cross-up Yozan, and then my 2S hits. My Kabaddi doesn't hit. She definitely needs that. By expanding the hitbox of the explosion part of Kenju, it now functions better as a poke and in combos. She needs that, but it might fuck up the gun combos, maybe. The current gun combos, maybe. We made it, fellas. Team Baiken. All these motherfuckers in the chat, not this chat, not you stream chat, not my YouTube comments, but so many people are saying fuck Baiken, fuck Baiken. Hotashi pull up my stream chat, just saying fuck Baiken, like dead ass. And I'm just like, who and why? Nobody has any answers. I am officially enabled by the devs. Heard once again. Tatami Gaishi removed usage restriction. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Yozan-sen, decrease horizontal blowback. Easy peasy. Kenji, easy. We made it. We're chilling. More of a threat at close range. She was struggling with that. Clearly. Love to see it. Eating. All I did was eat today. LK, eat it. Is it the LK patch? I'm not going to say that. However, let's say I could just stop reading these patch notes right now. Frankly, I could just stop. We could just stop stream. You know, thank you. Just kidding. Anyway. Testament. Okay, we got one more though. We got one more. Remember, okay. Before I go into Testament, in case you don't come to the stream a lot, you know how like there's the theory of like body, brain, heart type player. So in more recent times, I've seen this from some like players I respect a lot. I have a theory that if you're like a competitive player, you should have 3 characters that you play. Not 3 mains. 3 characters. 1 mixed character, 1 all-rounder, 1 zoner. So Millia's my mixed character, Baiken's my all-rounder, Testament's my zoner. This patch, I felt like Baiken was so strong. I haven't really been playing a lot of Testament. I played a lot of Testament at the end of the last patch and the beginning of this patch, like before Evo. After Evo, I'll just play like Testament here and there for fun. I will not call my Testament good, right? So this is the last character I'm heavily invested in, as far as like me playing them. As far as my selfish Guilty Gear player heart, most players will tell you they're not selfish. They're lying. Guilty Gear players are selfish. My selfish Guilty Gear player heart, even though I started from the top, I didn't skip to just my characters and the characters I don't like. Let's see what happened in Testament. Okay. What does this even mean? Grave Reaper can now be used back to back? If it's whip cancel, that's cat. 2H draws the opponent in, opening up new combos and block strings. Now draws the opponent in, I hit a block, reduced launch. Reduced launch is ... Grave Reaper, all versions, removed usage restriction. Okay, so they put this removed usage restriction here on Tatami Gaishi. Wait a minute. Why did they not talk about it for Baiken, but they talked about it for a Testament? That's a big deal. Okay. Alright. Why did I gave you a rare realistic LK reaction. Alright, let's take a look. So right now, this is what happens if I try to do Tatami. You'll never get Tatami. Never, ever. Okay? So what they're saying, and they definitely just casually, they casually glossed over this because they're talking about how Baiken needs to be more threatening point blank, which I feel like I literally feel like they're memeing Hotashi, right? Is now she doesn't have now she can do tatami even if there's a tatami on screen. So I feel like they worded this so oddly with Testament, because the way they worded it with Testament is like you can use Grave Reaper back to back, which makes me feel like Testament's gonna go Grave Reaper, like the fighting game, right? But the way it more sounds like that, I feel like a better way, the way they should have put it, is that even if there's a projectile on the screen, you could do another one. Which means I would like to announce that I will be resuming my Testament practice. I will be resuming my Testament practice. That shit is crazy. That sounds so toxic. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That sounds hella toxic. Reduce the knockback of the strike part of the HS Grey Reaper. So if you don't know, it's already plus. But the plus frames don't matter that much. Like it's +2, but it doesn't matter a lot. And then Astrovia, increase active frames. So really the big one is that I don't know, they want ACR players to play. I don't really know. But like if they didn't say this sentence and only talked about 2H, I would have totally, because I was like, what does this mean? And these two so far seem to be the only characters that have this change. I guess you can say that Jacko doesn't have this restriction because she has she's summoning, right? So she can summon, put it down, summon again. I guess, I don't know. Bridget, Brisket, biggest box so far. Continuing the Arxis tradition of introducing a DLC character after a patch, and then the first patch they add a lot of changes. I also want to add that in our small KBBQ roundtable with the Japanese players at the Korean tournament, they all agreed that Bridget was trash, and I was like, no. But this is definitely an example of regional difference, because she's also really rare in the Asia region, where she's pretty common. Even now, she's pretty common in North America. I don't know about EU region, but she's pretty common in North America. So I feel like she's just more developed here than over there as well. Bridget has more opportunities to launch her offense from neutral due to the increased projectile speed and reduced recovery of stop and dash. She has more potent options after rolling movement connects, as the changes to knockback and trajectory create less distance with the opponent and leave Bridget at more of an advantage. The 2P, expanded lower hitbox and hurtbox. 6P, now causes blowback on hit when the opponent is standing. The blowback is the same as crouching. Command normal number 4, S after S, okay. Expanded lower hitbox and hurtbox. And the same with 5H. Stop and dash, more damage. Increased movement speed of projectile. Expanded. Okay, so she got the Ino thing. I'm not sure it affects her as much as Ino though. That I'd have to talk to a Bridget player about. Everything has less recovery, which is definitely strong. Decreased knockback, increased descent speed on hit on block. When activated, as the yo-yo returns to Bridget, she now moves towards where the yo-yo was placed. Fix the bug where double jump, air dash, and air back dash cannot be used in some situations. Counter hit state now starts at the same time as the active frames. Now, counter hit... Oh, okay, I read that backwards. Okay. Starship, fix the bug where the opponent would sometimes enter a blocking pose at the active frames end. Interesting. Kickstart my heart, expanded... Okay. Oh, this one too. Break, expanded upper hitbox, reduced launch with decreased horizontal blowback, and a tumble. And then increased number of hits on the super. Alright, so one by one. So for the command normals, I feel like this is just quality of life stuff for pressure and combos, because you can't actually delay cancel into these at all. So I feel like this is just some quality of life for when she's hitting you and making you block. Obviously these are all good, damage, speed. The proximity requirement thing is helpful in Ino's case, so I'm assuming it's helpful in Bridget's case. I just don't know in what context. Obviously, reduced recovery on her projectile is good. Then, rolling movement. So, the only question is about the increased descent speed. I don't know if it's going to mess with her mix-up. It seems like she'll have new movement patterns as well. Bug fixes is always good. The counter hit state now ending at the same time, this is really good. So what it's implying is that she was in counter hit state probably for the entire time, which definitely sucks. Bug fix always fine. Another proximity requirement, again, just have to see how this will work. Yeah, I want to say this definitely buffs for sure. Buffs with a couple of question marks, I would say. And last is Sid. There are no changes for Sid. There are no changes for Sid. He just came out. Fuck you. Sick. So, if you want a quick summary, if I had to go in order, I would say Small buff. Kai, overall the same. Mei, small buff. Axl, buff. Chipp, ... question mark. Potemkin, buff. Faust, small buff. Millia, ... question mark. Zato, ... question mark, but small buff. Ram, small nerf. Leo, he seems same, honestly. Nagoriyuki, nerf, but we have to see how far they went. This sounds like a small nerf, to be honest. But it could be more, but I feel hurt. Giovanna, small buff. Anji, honestly, small buff, but we don't know how far they'll push this, so it could be small buff to buff. Ino, I probably want to say buff overall. Between note, dive, stroke, and her movement. Goldlewis, small nerf, and he so honestly small nerf. Like, he's still good despite that. The drone was just out of control. That shit was actually demonic that they let that go. Jacko, frankly, ... question mark. This is where you trust a Jacko player. It seems like a small buff to me, but this again could be one of those things that they push to buff straight up. Jokes aside. HC ... question mark could be small nerf, could be nothing, could be a slap on a wrist, could be a small nerf, could be a big nerf. I'm not really sure. Baiken, Testament, holy shit. Holy shit, but I kind of want to see it, honestly. The change reads like, what the fuck, but we will see. And Bridget looks like buff. Any questions?